Because there's not that many in Australia.
Yeah, I was looking at it. I was looking at the schedule. There's maybe like 10 a year or something like that.
Yeah, so we've got 2 in Melbourne. So there's Melbourne Right to Passage, Melbourne Tattoo Expo. Adelaide did 3 Eyes. Perth has just Perth Tattoo Expo. Sydney has Expo and Rites of Passage. So, yeah, not even 8, something like that. And then there's little shows in between all that, but they're our biggest major. And the people that like run this last one, or actually all of them at the moment, so they bought Rites of Passage off a tattooist, and the guy who owns it now is a tattoo supplier. And then he also bought the like Melbourne and Sydney Tattoo Expo. So he literally owns every single tattoo expo in Australia right now. That's why Byron decided to do it, because he's wrought us all. He's just like maxing price, and it's like $100 to fucking hire a chair, $100 a light.
Man. That's fucking ridiculous.
Exactly. Fuck it.
Yeah, what the fuck is that? I mean, yeah, fuck all that shit. But it seems to be a good thing that most people are getting into. They just want to make money off of tattooers lately.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're this like young as fuck industry that hasn't really been exposed to all these outside money making bullshit until now, and now they're like, oh my god, they do expos and they do this, and they like product and aftercare,
and they've got money.
They've got money. They charge money.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna get my goggles.
Get his googles, his googles on.
My drunk goggles. See, normally being drunk would help me with the goggles, but I need these. I needs them.
I needs it.
I got that funk stuck in my head in the background. Do you reckon we'll get in trouble for playing some music on the podcast?
You know what? I don't fucking care.
No one cares.
I don't fucking care at this point.
Not a tattooist out there that we're getting.
I think it's necessary.
Right? I believe so. I did look into a little bit of what you said. It's like, as long as we're not slandering them, then we can play whatever the fuck music we want, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't remember what the word was. What was it? Something about using it in like fair use.
Yeah, fair use, because we're using it in a commentary sense.
Exactly. And
we're commenting on it.
Yeah, exactly right. Basically, as long as you don't slander it, you can do whatever the fuck you want. And as long as you're not trying to make money, I will find a way to
Jew some free music out of this.
Hell yeah. Mary Jane. How's that for it? We should use that for our like next intro.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's too
This
good.
is what happens when I drink.
You turn into a black man.
I wouldn't say that,
you just get down with the get down.
A little less
start
white.
Breaking it down.
Yeah.
A little less white. I get a little less white when I drink.
I still dance like a white man.
Mm-hmm.
So how's your week been?
It's been really good, man.
Expo, huh? Let me
nothing to really shake a stick at. It was a good show. I did some really cool tattoos. The team did some really cool tattoos. Just had a good time. It's one of those stops on my travels that's more like going to tattoo summer camp than it is like a big tattoo convention. I get to see all my buddies. This town in Far East Texas, Longview, is stuck in 1989, so you can still smoke inside. And you can play pool and actually enjoy yourself and not have to go outside and smoke cigarettes, and you can just hang out. And the whole town is kind of like catering to this event because it's one of the big things that happens there every year. So we get treated really good, and they kind of let us get away with murder and just have a good time. And then coming back here to Dallas, I've got plenty and tons of people here, and so I've been working for the past couple of days and partying too much.
Nice. So what expo did you do again?
It's called the Ink Life Tour. It's been running all over the country for quite a while, but it's tied up with a music event. It's the only thing that I don't really like about it. If it's not a show that I would pay for a booth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what do? They play music the whole time while you're tattooing?
No, the music starts at like 9. So after all the judging and everything, then they have bands on. So it's kind of nice that they separate the venue that way. So the people who come in can have enough time to get tattooed and see the band if they want to. but it's all shitty bands. Like we just had Scott Stapp from Creed, just him, come out on Sunday, and I was like, holy fuck,
Oh
man.
my god! Not even the rest of the band wants to come with you.
No, they don't have nothing to do with your arms wide open, bro.
The only one I've been to like that is what is it, Rocket Inc. in Germany, and it was like 2 stages either side, and then like the tattoo section in the middle, and it was pretty hard to concentrate through that shit.
Yeah, I mean, like if I didn't have noise canceling headphones, like there's no way that I'd be able to operate.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
not easy. Like conventions aren't the easiest place to tattoo at the best of times, let alone to do with some of that shit. Not that I'm against it. Yeah, I'm all for people trying to do some different shit at these things. We had fucking wrestling at one recently. I was like, that was not a good one. People getting thrown on a fucking floor, like scaring the shit out of you. And like, yeah.
we had a slap boxing competition at this last one in Lubbock where they go back and forth and they slap each other each one, and whoever gives up first, dudes are getting knocked out. They had chicks up there.
That was like, I don't know if you guys know the one I'm talking about, but there's like a famous one that it's like this dude with a big fuck off rose tattooed on his cheek, and he like slaps fuck out of everybody and like knocks most of them out. You know the guy?
Yeah, that's Lubbock. That's the show that I was at. Yeah, that was we were there.
What up, bro?
Yeah, that motherfucker. Yeah.
Props to you. I would not let you slap my fucking face.
Fuck no.
Look at this fragile thing. Fuck that.
It's like I wear a beard so you can't see my chin.
Exactly. It's made out of China. Just this porcelain.
There's a reason I do stuff with my hands to where I can't fight people. Oh, I can't get in a fight. I color for a living.
Exactly right. Yeah. I learned to use weapons, though.
Yes.
Dabs.
But yeah.
See, we're panning.
Oh, no, this is a dry herb vaporizer. I couldn't get no wax out here right now.
Oh, that's fair.
Oh no, that's a lie. That's a lie. I have one of those cartridges I just picked up today. I just don't have a battery.
So what is that thing?
Dry herb vaporizer. You just pack a little herbal essence in there.
Nice. I'm rocking the OG rig, the little rig pen.
Dude, I love that thing. I saw that.
Oh, bro.
On your story, and I was like, oh man, get
this. This is one of the best portable rigages I've bought. Look at that. It's ready to go. Heads up.
Speaking of rigs, are we gonna get into some equipment talk?
Yeah,
on
sure.
This one, yeah, since you're in the shop.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's interesting.
They show them.
Yeah, the
want to see
one of the biggest. Yeah, exactly. Look, everybody, Sam.
This is my little magical station over here. This is where I do all my tricks. Yeah, that's my Nana and Papa's table. That's probably like fucking 80 years old.
That's a secretary table, huh? Like a secretary desk.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I've wanted one of those for years to tattoo off of, just because they seem so classy, just fancy.
I know, right? I got little holders for all my inks and all my bits and pieces. And it's a little bit of nostalgia. You know, it's nice to have some family-owned shit in here. To be honest, man, most of the shit in my room, you know, it's like come from family. And, it's a nice environment to tattoo in.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a certain level of comfort. And, you know, it's not necessarily that it's building confidence, but there's a level of safety there. It's, you know, just being around that familiar area. You know, it's different if you see something like, I remember just recently seeing the underside of my mom's ironing board, and I had and she has had this thing. It's like, you know, it's got to be 20 years older than I am, but there's something about that ironing board, seeing the bottom of that thing and remembering as a kid crawling around on the floor just that I was like, I was like, I need to paint this thing in a really like lovely way, just because it's like, yeah, you know what I mean? So there's those little moments where you catch that, and I think surrounding yourself with a little bit of that comfort's good.
Especially when you're trying all kinds of crazy shit. I can imagine that shit. Like it's something every kid's done. Fucking roll around on the ground. I can picture underneath those ironing boards with the little like crossover fucking like fence things.
The old school metal motherfucker. Yeah,
they don't exist anymore. Who the fuck irons anymore?
No, I don't know. I've always used this trick since I was like, I don't know, probably about 22. I just take a hot shower and hang my shirt and
same.
And just fucking steam my shirt.
That's a boy thing right there. That is.
Yeah. Well, that's a boy thing, or a guy who's like, because like I never spent that much time in the mirror either. But I've got buddies of mine who like perfectly coiffed hair and all that shit. You know what I mean?
Quaffed away.
Waft away, you faggots.
Yep. I'm glad I've lost my fucking hair, man. It's not
Yeah,
fun to
right.
deal with
It's so
anymore.
much easier.
Mm-hmm.
So much easier.
Yeah, we get it out.
See, there you go.
Look at that.
Only
It's so shiny. It looks like the backdrop.
Oh man.
Yeah.
One of the funny things about going to like all the tattoo conventions though is like that's one, the main thing that a large group of people come up and ask is, especially other tattooers, what do you use? What kind of equipment do you have?
Mhm.
What kind of inks? And I mean, it's for me, I have a lot of equipment that I'm really happy to have, and I really love the fact that I get to use it. But at the end of the day, most of that shit doesn't even fucking matter.
No,
Most of
exactly
the
right.
stuff that people want to know about is just, it doesn't fucking matter, man.
No. No, I used to
You
get
know,
people message me on the reg, like what needles do you use, what size do you use, what this do you use, what voltage do you run it? And it's like, well, today was different than yesterday, man. Like I tried, 11.5. Yesterday I was running 14. Like it really
yeah.
doesn't matter. I
Well,
think
it's
these are questions
what
like,
kind of skin are you working on? Is it a
eh,
biker or is it like a 21-year-old hot chick?
yeah, perfect
There's all
question.
kinds of
Exactly.
things.
Variables. Our life is basically full of variables, and it's like trying to learn all those along the way, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So,
I think there are some things that I've come across that I feel have really changed the way I've tattooing. I'm not to name brands or anything like that, but the cartridge needle system
mhm.
when I got my hands on it was a fucking game changer in a big way.
Yep,
You know,
definitely. Same
yeah,
with like the click systems, the cartridges, like the rotaries. We went over this the other week that it's like it's nothing new, but it's like adapting to it and like learning how to use it
yeah.
for, you know, the best that you can do, like the easiest, really. I mean, that's what life's about.
It's
Work
convenience,
smart,
and I
not
think
hard.
speed. The fact that you can switch between so many different needle sizes so quickly, instead of having five machines, there's less waste because I don't have five grips to
Mhm.
clean or sterilize or throw away if I'm using disposables. So there's that aspect of it too. I think that there are certain things that have come out of people pushing technology that have been really really good for the industry and really beneficial. But I think that a lot of people focus too much on what's new and fancy, and how is this going to make me a better tattooer? Well, if you spend more time tattooing, you'll probably be a better tattooer.
That's exactly right. I mean, while I was over there, all right. So, like a little fill in for all the rest of you. It is what is it over there for you, David? 6:43
Yep, 6:43 in the morning.
a.m. It's the a.m.s. I bet none of you tattooists are up at that fucking time, huh? And for
Mm.
me, it's 9:43 p.m. So I finished working. I went and had a couple of beers with the boys across the road. David's being kind enough to stay up all night for us. So
You got to do what you got to do.
that's it.
I didn't plan on doing this, but I have a lot of really good friends out here, and we ended up going to that chicken place that we went last time you were
Mm.
here in Dallas,
Oh
and
yeah.
and then shit went crazy going back to that Wits End bar and all of that shit. So
Yep.
yeah, yeah. But
It has
anyway,
to be done.
I'm super happy to do it. I've got a cool tattoo to do later on today after I catch like 3 hours of
Goes
sleep.
to have some sleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, much appreciated. And it's always good to get a mind when it's as lesser prepared as possible, right?
Yeah, well, I think like that's why I wanted to do this, and I've been talking to a lot of people about the podcast, talking
Mhm.
to people at the show, wanting their feedback, saying, "Hey, listen to this. Is this something you'd be interested in listening to, and also being a part of?"
Yep.
And a lot of people reflect back on the honesty. Like the fact of the matter is like I felt like, hey, if I can't do this right now because I don't feel like I'm not prepared enough, then I'm not being honest with the audience that I'm trying to
Mhm.
reach. So I
Exactly
might
right.
as well just come on.
We're trying to give people our mind, and this is legit. This is our mind. This is the times that we do what we do. This is our downtime, our relaxed time. I was only telling my client like earlier today. I'm like, like I'll finish work at a certain time. I'll message my girlfriend, I'm done or whatever. And then there's this big chunk of time in between that it takes me to get home, wind down, and whether that's have a beer or have a smoke or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you need that sort of thing. So I thought the same. I was like, this is good to go unwind, do what I do for the day. And, we've just had our big rants across the road where it's the daily like work rants. And this is why
Yeah.
we have beers and things like this. This is not just like social, let's go have a beer and get fucked up because we can. This is like this is where we meet and like work shit, and all
Well,
that kind of stuff.
it's where we philosophize. This is the
That's
whole
the one.
thing that we do. Like,
Philosophy.
yeah, we're stand-up bullshitters,
Mhm.
for part of our job, and I think a lot of it is most of us are strong characters. Some people aren't as outspoken, but most of us are pretty strong characters. We
Absolutely.
have our own unique, wonderful petals on this flower that we are. Depending on what we believe and how opinionated we are. So I think it's good to have those rallying moments. You got to get in a good conversation. You got to have a little bit of bullshit and banter. And I mean, that's one of the best things about doing this podcast is having another mind to talk about all the bullshit that goes on, but in a
Definitely.
good, healthy way, just something that feels good.
Not even just that, it's almost like become this thing where I now have my once a week, like like vent, like
Yeah.
all the boys are venting like all day and all the rest of it. Ooh, lost the dab tool. And this is where we like go out the back for a smoke, or whether it's one or two people or three people or whatever the fuck. But this is a really cool thing to do, as far as having someone completely the opposite side of the world to relay. How's your week? What did you do? What's the pros and cons and all the rest of it? So I think even
Yeah.
just talking it is a massive benefit.
It's interesting. It seems as though like there's a whole nother side to this that has become so much more personal for me, rather than just trying to have this community. It's like, hey man, I kind of need this now.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I got to talk to David.
Yeah, like I kind of need this, and I got to do this every week, just for the sense of a little bit of sanity to be. And plus, I like the idea of the project. I think it's super fun. A lot of people that I've spoken to, other tattooers, are really interested in it because it's a unique platform that's a little bit more open to the entire community. It's not
Yeah.
just cherry picking specific people to talk to, because I'm more than willing to talk to whoever the fuck wants to be a
Anyone,
part of it.
exactly. Give us those suggestions. We will talk to anyone. The more people I can meet, the more people I can brainstorm and like anything, absolutely. And that's beneficial to everyone, not just me. That's the part of the reason, like you just said, is that we get something from this. And it's amazing we get something, but it's also awesome that some other people can get something from this. So definitely, man.
Yeah. What I've found recently though is I have a hard time watching the old episodes now. Like I can't watch them
Same. They're
anymore.
already painful, huh? And the
it's
worst thing
just
for
kind of
me is
like
everyone's like, I've watched episode 1 and 2. I'm like, no. Watch 3 and 4. They're better.
Yeah. 3 and 4 are better, right? I always said people, I'm like, yeah, the 1, 2, and 3 were kind of us like working everything out. You should watch 4. It's a little bit more tattoo oriented.
Exactly right. That's what I've been saying.
saying.
So we're getting there. We're getting there. It was always going to happen. Like this was the thing that we're meeting as friends now, and we getting to know each other. We're on 1, 2, and 3. You guys are getting the intermingling of minds as quickly as we make those connections. Huh?
We could put them together. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, because for all intents and purposes, me and Sam were basically strangers who smoked a lot of weed for 3 days at a convention.
Oh yeah,
and just so happened to get along really well.
That's how you make the best friends, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we were both very busy. We got to spend mostly just the evenings together until about 4 o'clock in the morning, and then.
And that's it. And that's when the brain started. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's when we realized we could talk to each other for 3 hours without fucking taking breath.
Oh man, that's one of the things that people are like, man, you guys can talk really well. Have you guys done this before? And I was like, no,
nope,
not at all. We're just professional bullshitters on the daily.
This is what being a tattooist is. If you can't talk the shit, man, fuck, come on. It's going to be a boring 8-hour day.
They keep saying, like, I kept hearing about like these really introverted guys who are tattooers. I still haven't met very many of them.
Nah, there's a pick of the bunch, like out of 13 people in our studio, there's fucking 2 maybe. And even then you get them drunk and you can't shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
It's dab time. The little silicon ripper. This is the Old Faithful for my day. Gets me through the day.
I think if we're going to get into talking about tattoo equipment, maybe we should start talking about where tattoo equipment came from. The history of tattoo equipment.
Ooh, I was talking about this earlier today. Edison.
Well, yeah. Well, what if we go pre-electromagnetic tattooing?
Oh, sick. So we're going way back. Shark teeth.
Yeah. Yeah, why not? Why not? Walrus tusk and shark
Walrus
teeth and
tusk, shark
tatau
teeth.
and
What is tatau?
the
Oh, the
Indonesian
original. Yeah. The word.
tatau. Yeah, tatau is the Polynesian word for tattooing, which is where we get our tattoo language from, where we got tattoo from.
Ooh.
And then you go moving across the Pacific into Japan, where we saw the first use of steel needles.
Taburi.
Because of course this was a country. Yeah, this was a country known for their steel. So of course they were using steel needles to tattoo criminals. Actually, in the beginning.
Exactly. So what we're talking about Damascus and
Excellent.
Mokumgane at the moment, huh? Mokumigami.
Yeah, Mokumigami, and even just high carbon steel needles. These, the mag needle came from Japan, was brought over by Sailor Jerry from Japan to the States. We were using flats and slicing people the fuck open with those things.
Absolutely. I was taught never to make those mags go like that, huh? And I tried it. It works.
But I do. Yeah, it works great, right? They tell you no, don't do it. I use
it. That's the difference of generation.
Yeah. Oh man, you want to get fur?
Mag that shit.
Well, that's the evolution of equipment. There are some of my old coil machines. You could not run a mag sideways probably, just because they were fucking aggressive, little
fuck you
bee stingy, fucking horrible little machines.
So I had to bring this out. This is the one advantage.
But, you touched on it, Edison. We got.
Yeah, being in my tattoo room is the shit that I have here. So we were talking about before the Mokumigami and the Damascus steel. So this is Aaron Kane's coil machine version or something like that. Exactly. $5 notes, the Mokumigami. The Peacock Damascus. It's it's amazing. So like something old meets something new within that. You're talking about the steel folding and all the rest of it.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny that like we are using 110-year-old technology, when we pick up our coils.
Yep.
It's just one of those things that you pick up this machine, and at least just in that design, even older in the mechanism, like the doorbell mechanism that they're made out of, is even older. And then you can go back even older to the Edison, O'Reilly rotary engraver,
Exactly. So this is something I was talking about today. And so I'm sure there's plenty of people out there aware of the very first tattoo machine and where it come from. And it's the O'Reilly pen. And it was based on Thomas Edison's first electrical device available to the public. And it was a perforator pen, I'm sure you know. It was used to reproduce copies of like newspaper clippings and notes to the public and stuff like that. So someone would sit there with a perforator pen, punch little holes all the way through all the little pictures and writing and all the rest of it, and they would almost like screen print, right?
Yeah, with wax, but you do it on a wax paper and then run ink over the top, and it would make really shitty copies, but at least you could read it, You could read it.
You wouldn't have to write that motherfucker 400 times anyway, huh?
Right. I went to the Henry Ford Museum, and he's got Edison's workshop there, so they got one of these engraving pens set up, dude, with the fucking lead acid batteries, all set up, the chemical batteries and all that set up for it, and then they have like some prints made with it, and I was like, oh no wonder they made this into a tattoo machine. This is fucking terrible.
I mean, people talk about like coils back then, so this was basically coil and rotary together, right?
Together, yeah. It worked with a flywheel.
Exactly. So a coil that spun a flywheel.
Yeah, and then an ignition system similar to like an old car point system, to where every time the flywheel was right in the right position, the coils would fire and it would spin the flywheel faster and faster. And there's machines still made today. John Clark, who's one of my machine builders, he still builds some solenoid driven machines, and they're more for they're wall hangers. They're really pretty, beautiful things. You can use them, but you don't really.
Exactly. They're not useful stuff. So, I mean, like even from then, like someone's seen something like the Edison and O'Reilly. I mean, I don't actually know much about O'Reilly himself. I mean, was he a tattooist?
No. Well, from my understanding, the O'Reilly machine was originally built for animal marking.
Okay.
Because it was built for marking animals in stockyards and things like that. Because it used to be like hand punch system that they would mark these animals with.
Yeah,
But I'm not sure. From my understanding, I believe that I thought he was just a designer of the machine. I'd never known anything about O'Reilly being a tattooer.
No,
But
me
then
neither. That's why I've just asked it then. It sort of just popped into my head. I realized I knew nothing about him. But basically, for people out there, he just put a cam inside from the Edison pen. So he basically sped up the machine working. So something that was a perforator that was running quite slow, piercing the paper, he basically double the speed, right? And it became usable as a tattoo pen.
Yeah. And what
this
I'd
is
always
1875.
Right. So we're talking, mid-Victorian era.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we've got that. What I want to know is, when did the transition come in, and who was the first tattooer to look at a fucking old school doorbell and be like, hey, let's take that apart and let's make a tattoo machine?
Yeah. Also, there's another one. For anyone that's never gone and looked at an old school doorbell, go look at that shit. If you're tattooing, or if you've been tattooed and you've seen a coil machine, look at that thing. That basically is a tattoo machine with a bell on the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's without a doubt, there's documentation of guys taking apart doorbells, or even just taking doorbells and turning them into tattoo machines. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
To think. And then there was several different interesting innovations that happened in early tattooing that these guys experimented with these machines. There was one machine where the actual switch to do to actually operate it was on the actual pen grip of the machine. So you would sit there, bang, bang,
yeah,
bang.
I've seen that one. It's got that little button on the front of the tube, huh?
Yeah,
permanent tube. I love that.
Yeah, just no switching it out.
Disease was an issue, huh?
Yeah, that's another thing that the equipment changed quite a bit, is the fact that we realized that bloodborne pathogens were a thing, and that we can't have, this assembly line of tattooers doing line work, one doing color, one doing black work, and they're all using the same needles and ink, and they all have a bucket on the floor full of water with a rag in it, and that's what they're wiping with no gloves. A lot of that stuff changed when you figured out that you could get syphilis and gonorrhea through the skin and through blood, and having a cut on your cuticle. Man, listening to the Philadelphia Eddie talk about fucking hanging out on Coney Island and seeing the crazy shit that he saw, I was like, god damn, I'm so happy to be a tattooer right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've worked with people that have talked about tattooing still in the early 90s in Australia without gloves. I'm like, you guys fucking mental? Clearly the 80s taught everyone about disease.
Yeah.
But no,
that was the scary shit. That was the shit that was like, oh, you could die from this.
That was the problem.
It was just you get a shot.
Shit of tattooing back in the day, huh?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't realize who aren't tattooers and who've never taken a bloodborne pathogen class is that hepatitis lives outside the body for 5 days, up to 7 days. They found it still viable. And HIV doesn't really live outside the body, so it's not super scary. But it's all these things that this is why we don't want you to bring your kids to the shop. Why they're not supposed to crawl around on the fucking floor. These are all. We're not doing it to be dicks. We're doing it because we actually care about your children more than you do, because you don't do the research. This might rant.
Go for it. Rant along.
For parents fucking bring their kids to tattoo shops.
No matter what, I'll rant next. No one wants fucking kids in a tattoo shop. Man.
Never.
Let alone fucking putting them in a tattoo shop while I'm trying to concentrate. Fuck me.
Yeah.
Babysitters might be expensive. Man, so is your tattoo. You want to get it properly. Don't fuck with that.
To spend the kind of money that it takes to get a huge tattoo, or just to get tattooed in some of these places, and to think that you wouldn't put the money aside to get your kid a fucking daycare just for that day, so they'd be happier and you'd be happier. They both suffer through the fucking experience, because the kid is bored out of his fucking mind. And it's the same experience that fucking people get when they bring their friends to get with them when they get tattooed, because your friend sits there for fucking 4 hours and is bored out of his mind too. There's nothing exciting about watching a fucking tattoo.
This is not a spectator sport, right?
No.
There's no points. There's no winning. You might see your friend in pain for a while, but it's okay. We can Snapchat that shit to you. We put that out on story for our entertainment. You can look at it. Don't worry.
Just don't expect to, come and be entertained. Yeah,
I'm going to attempt to show off the. Here we go. We got a new tab. So let's open up Google, and I want to show everyone the O'Reilly and the Edison tattoo pen, because I believe if you haven't seen this, this is real tattoo history. You know, not only is this like real tattoo history, this is real history. This is Thomas Edison, a man who has helped invent electricity and lights and fucking all this kind of crap. That we now have the advantages of using these things. We don't have to hand poke this kind of stuff anymore. So, this is history and tattooing in history. So let's have a look. Tattoo. And hopefully this works for everyone. Are you seeing this, David?
Oh yeah, I'm seeing it just fine.
Got it. We worked it. You know, it's episode.
We got to figure it out.
We fucked that shit up, but we're getting there. I guess.
We're getting there. Episode 5, baby. It's that 5 is like my favorite number. It's a good number.
It's the best. 5 is a good number in numerology. I don't know if you get into any of that sort of shit. It's a good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, dude, I mix my ink wash with, and I call it black magic.
Oh, is it also?
I use all sacred numbers.
3, 5s, and 7s.
No, so check it out. my strongest drop. So like, of course, I do a solid, and then I'll do like a 3/4 black, a half black, and then I do 13, 10, 7, 5, and 3. All sacred numbers.
I love that shit.
And then I call it black magic. It's my black magic wash.
And there's a little key for everyone out there. That in between black and you're like however many drops, you're nearly black. Don't forget that, people.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the Edison pen.
Get that cap 75% full of black before you put any wash in there. Just in between that half cap. That's an important one that a lot of people don't do.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So here's the Edison pen.
Yeah.
There's the coils on the side like we were talking about before, and we have the like flywheel like David was mentioning earlier, and those coils actually help that flywheel to keep moving. So as much as people have seen coils these days and think that this is like a set standard or whatever, the original was more like a rotary, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole idea that there is this, it's such a weird thing to be caught up on. Is like, oh, well, I don't use rotaries. I'm loyal to the coil. You know, at the end of the day, like all we're doing is stabbing somebody with a needle.
Exactly.
You know, that needle just needs to move in and out of that tube in a precise way. And the first machines were rotaries. You know, but they were also coil driven because we hadn't figured out,
electrode magnets. So they were the first
bound electric motor like we have now.
Yeah, we don't have the advantage of brushless motors and all this sort of shit now. This is years worth of refining.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's not to say like I don't appreciate, and I love coils, you know, but what I don't understand is you know, the tattooing innovation and I guess tradition should run like a railroad track. They move together forward. You know, as long as we keep up with certain things, we're always going to be pushing innovation. You know, the hangers on and the people who, you know, are going kicking and screaming into 2018 because they don't understand why all of the best artists in the world who have some kind of connection to a rotary machine at this point. You know, there's no point in bitching and complaining about it. Just make good tattoos with coils if that's what you want to do, you know, or, you know, use whatever the fuck you want.
I think there's something in that it is like the last part of, you know, like this is one of the last crafts in the world. So keeping this handmade and, you know, old school. And I think there's some kind of like feeling with people, especially that do like old school tattoos, and like they want to keep this tradition within it. And the tradition seems to come back to the coil machine. Like we've just said, that the tradition wasn't really the coil machine to start with, but it's been lumped in with that style of tattoo. And I feel like people that are trying to do those sort of tattoos are really trying to keep that history within it, keep it that last craft. And that's kind of why I see why they still use coils. It's not so much the advantage of the coil, it's the whole thing, right? You know, it's the package.
Yeah. And I think that there's definitely something to that, because there's something to be said about the guys who are still doing tabori. I mean, like I still have a wild hair to go really learn, you know, and just so that I can see what
shit,
you know.
man. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And just, you know, because to feel that connected to a tattoo, to where, you know, every mark that you've made has all been by your hand, has all been a muscle twitch, has all been ATP running through your system and activating your nerves so that you could punch somebody with a needle. There's another level there that I think is just different than running a precision machine in your hand. But, you know, I don't think that there's any merit one way or the other, which one's better. I just think that they're different experiences, just like using a coil machine in a nostalgic way. You know, one of the cooler things about the whole coil built machine, and one of the things that I have a lot of sentiment for, is the fact that I love tattoo machine builders and I love looking at beautiful custom made machines.
It's like looking
And
at a
some of
car.
that has somewhat gone away with the production of rotaries.
Yeah, I
Oh
agree.
yeah,
The art
but
of
like
it.
an old car.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like they're the only cars
Yeah,
we're looking at, all these plastic.
yeah.
I mean, that is the relationship between us. Like the old car is the old metal frame, solid as
Frame
fuck,
machine. Yeah,
thing that you can tinker with and fuck with, and it's gonna last forever. And now we've got these
yeah.
new rotaries that are covered in plastic, and you drop them, and you break an edge off, and you smash the
Mm-hmm.
cam back into the brushless motor, and it's done.
Yep.
It's a disposable world. It's translated all the way through to our machines, huh?
And it's interesting that there's a good reflection in handmade machines. A lot of really good handmade machines are still less expensive than some of the
They
high
actually are.
quality rotaries. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
figure that
Like,
out.
and I only know this. Yeah, I only know this because like I still buy coil machines. I just ordered a liner and a shader set from John Clark because I saw him in Longview, and I don't really have any plan on using them.
No, I'm the same when
You
I
know, I
buy
will, but
this.
like it was like I like, I travel almost exclusively with my rotaries, not so much because I don't like coils, but because I like the reliability that
Not
I
just
have
that, you're
with
talking about
these.
weight, man. Coils weigh a ton. You
Weight,
fucking put 6 of them in a bag and a whole heap of
yeah.
needles and tubes, man. That's like kilos or
When you
massive.
go from 2 ounces to fucking 7.5 to 8, there's a
Exactly.
huge difference. People don't realize. I mean, you're talking about half a pound to two, half a pound as compared to 2 ounces is like almost nothing. 2 ounces, it's crazy how light as the ejecta is with a disposable tube. It's almost too light with a disposable tube.
Oh, so I've ordered that iPower watch and a new
Oh,
injector.
you did already? God damn it. I
Yeah,
was going to do it too. All
yeah.
right. I guess I got
With
to
the
do that.
disposable, I feel like I'm gonna have like an ounce on my hand rocking that shit.
I think it's going to be pretty nifty. I
Hmm.
hope I hope I hope I hope it's not just some hokey bullshit, because I really was looking at that like, man, that'd be great for
We'll let you
conventions.
know. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, we'll I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. Pretty much anything I buy from now on is going to have some form of
It's going to
review.
have a
I'm sorry.
review, man. Yeah. Sorry everybody. You better start making awesome shit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or I don't buy it.
Oh yeah. And I think when it comes down to the machines, I think that's something that's so personal because you spend so much time using it. And there are guys who I look at what they're using and I'm like, oh my God, I could use that. And I look at the work that they're doing, but I'm like, hey, it's fucking amazing work. I know a guy who buys knockoff Chinese machines by like the fucking bucket load.
Yep.
By like, he buys them by the case, he burns these little RC motors out, throws it away, and picks a new one up and puts it back in. And that's what he's comfortable doing, you know.
Oh
And
man,
for
we
me,
like one of the best machines I ever got, coil wise, was a Mickey Sharp's knockoff. It was clearly Chinese made. I went through a whole bucket of the things. Like I had the advantage of working in the supplier at the time. That he bought a shitload of them just to see what they were like, and they got put out the back to never be sold. I went through and I picked out the 3 best ones out of the lot, and then nearly some of the best tattoo machines I've ever used. Like you can get you
you
can
know,
get lucky with proportions and angles and all the rest on machines. Like someone that's
it's a,
shitload of time refining that, and then you've got someone that just hits potluck.
every once in a while. Well, because like that's one of the things that I think it's so interesting that I can come across tattooers who are great tattooers, use coil machines, and I can talk to them about the finer points of coils, just because I've built coil machines, and they have very very little knowledge. They may know spring weights, or they may know certain things that they can, their capacitor, and stuff
Hmm.
like that. But when it comes down to like, well, where's the spring shelf at as compared to where the top post for the armature bore, the contact post is
Hmm.
going to be, where's that line over your front coil? It kind of determines what kind of frame geometry you have. And a lot of people just are like kind of all over the place, like they have no idea what the fuck is going on. And I'm like,
Comes back to those
you know
variables, huh? It's like you need to
yeah,
know your machine. You got to need to, like, it's not just like a set thing. You don't just have a fucking 18 gauge spring on the back of any machine. You've got to know,
no,
like you said, what the spring landing is like, the size of it, how it's been filed, its angles. It's like who the fuck made it? What, what coils and what
Yeah.
spring and what armature bar is supposed to go in it?
Well, and then you run across like issues well, that's one of the things that I've seen. Like I've either through the old shops that I've worked in, or doing guest spots and talking to other artists and stuff like that, is they'll have a machine that let's say breaks rear springs all the time,
Oh yeah,
just consistently breaking rear
Standard.
springs,
Yeah.
right? And they're just like, man, it'll work good for like 2 weeks, and I can't get this spring to stay. And I go and I say, okay, well, take your rear spring off. Oh, well, the rear spring that's on there is good. And I was like, well, go ahead and take your rear spring off. And I look at their spring shelf, and their spring shelf is obviously, there's fucking some kind of burr on there that's causing this thing to break all the time. There's something there. And a lot of people, it's hard to do the diagnostics on that. You get guys who take apart their machine and put it back together, and then they click their foot pedal, and all it does is clamp down once because they've wired something wrong. And you have to go back through, and you're like, well, you have to use these bushings. Yeah, it's like you have to use these bushings because that's where your contact goes.
You shorted your machine out, motherfucker. If you haven't learned that one yet, it's clicking. You shorted it. Good luck.
It just it sounds like Morse code. You could send Morse code with you could send Morse code with that motherfucker. But there's little things like that I think kind of have steered a lot of people away from coil machines, because you have to dive into diagnostics. You have to be a little bit more mechanically inclined, I think, if you want to.
It really is going to be a lost art, isn't it? It's going to be
unfortunately, I think it will be.
Yeah.
There's going to be standouts. I think there's going to be standouts that'll stick around for quite a while. Like one of the guys who's really taken the rotary thing on, but is still making handcrafted machines, who's doing really well over here, is Dan Cuban.
Yeah, exactly right. I see Dan Cuban's like over here still. Like Adrian Dominic, who works here, has been swearing by him, and who else? There's a couple of one dude downstairs has been rocking them. So yeah.
Dude, they're Sharpie markers. You put a fucking lining machine, like a good lining needle in those things, like a standard needle, and it's magic. I watched a really great tattooer, one of my good friends here in Dallas, Jay Jaree. She was getting down on this crazy peony thing today, and I was watching her use her Dan Cuban machines, and there was a part of me that went like, fuck, maybe I need to go get me one of these fucking machines.
I agree.
But I like my Mike Godfrey liner for when I do super bold line work and shit like that. And honestly, for all the small stuff, I just stick with the Injecta. The cartridges are good enough now to where I can run nice lines if I need to really run nice nine. It's not that bad.
No. The ones I was rocking before, like stuck with the Injecta, was Mark Sender, is a New Zealand machine builder over here, and they have Marv and Mark Sender are two of New Zealand's best builders, and he makes a beautiful machine. Mark Sender, yeah. I was going to get him to make me some Freemason working tools, set of 3 machines, so that'll be my next order from him. Like you said,
that's dope.
I buy machines just to put on my fucking wall, man. It's like history. It's tattoo history right there.
Well, it's a craft, and it's an art all in itself. Like it's. I have it a lot akin to like watchmaking. We're talking about.
Oh man, I watch cooking shows. Yeah. I don't give a fuck. I watch anyone make anything. Like.
Yeah. You sit there and you think about the time and effort that it goes into making a machine. And a lot of people, it's hard for them to wrap their mind around it. Some guys are buying pre-round coils. Some guys are winding their own coils. They put a lot of thought into what kind of materials are going into the frames, what kind of materials are going into the cores of the coils and their armature bars, because you want those to be similar, as similar irons as possible. There's all kinds of little things that go into there. And then on top of that, you've made it function, but now make it pretty.
Exactly right.
That's why fucking Aaron Kane is one of the best in the world, because his shit looks fucking badass. You could hang his machine off of your neck and people would be like, that's a dope necklace.
Something like this,
Yeah, just saying. That's why he started making those armature bar.
Absolutely, but it's not just that. It's like he worked out dimensions and the way a machine works so well to start with. That from there,
he could build a sculpture out of it. Yeah.
Fucking pretty, exactly right. So I mean, it becomes your sidearm is just it's up for grabs.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I wonder if you've ever dived deep into John Clark's tattoo machines, because him and Aaron Kane go back and forth all the time. I'm gonna do a little share here.
Yeah, go for it
in a minute. But I've been using John Clark's machines probably since 2007. He just he grew up in a watchmaker's machine shop.
That's
So like
cool.
if you can imagine how precision, like a regular machine shop's already precision, but this guy's was making components for the inside of watches like Rolexes and Breitlings and all kinds of shit like that. And that was his grandfather's machine shop, and he grew up in there. And so the guy's got, he's a genius, but he is the most Texas Southern draw. Just,
Yeah.
hey Dave, how you doing, man? What are we gonna do for you today, man? You come
That's
back in the
awesome.
back. We gonna smoke some dope, man. I grow my own weed, man.
Sounds like Willie Nelson.
He's very much the machine building Willie Nelson.
That's awesome.
That, yeah, he's just he's an interesting human being because he's probably forgot more about tattoo machines than I'll ever know.
Yeah, exactly right. Some people out there are
It's
just encyclopedias of this sort of shit, huh?
yeah, it's super interesting. You know, when it comes down to it, you got to thank some of these guys for, I guess, being so crazy about simple shit like this.
We salute you. Thank you. The crazy people that came before us, this is why we're fucking here, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for me, I think it's so interesting because like a lot of this shit, like you said, is just going to become lost history.
Exactly right.
A lot of this stuff, if everything keeps going the way it's going, you're going to be looking at these machines like this. Are you seeing the share?
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I have seen these machines. I do know this.
yeah, these he makes some of the best bio machines in the game. Like that's why him and Aaron go back and forth so much. But he about like these machines, and what I was saying is, John is constantly changing and trying to innovate. But if you look at the center of the screen, that is a working Edison O'Reilly type rotary machine that you can actually use in tattoo. It's a functioning one that John has produced in the past.
No way. I've never seen that.
Just
That's cool as
yeah,
fuck.
just in the middle there. He's well known for a lot of his kind of crazy machines, and him and Aaron Kane have done some collaborations together. But a lot of his stuff has just kind of like this almost steam era Victorian
Yeah, it's
kind of
steampunk Art Nouveau almost. Like some of the
yeah
lines that he sculpted into some of those things, they're like mechanical bio-y looking, but yeah, especially down further, there was one that was crazy. And some of
yeah
those gears and cogs, that's cool as fuck.
he's got one machine unfortunately it's not listed here, but it was one of his more famous machines when he first came out, and it was called
Yep.
the One, and it was a very like just a very striking bio machine with several metal elements. He had like copper running through steel, just really really cool stuff. So there's homage to be paid to a lot of these guys who put all of that time and effort into fucking making machines.
Yeah.
you know
It's an art in
and
itself, huh?
pff, absolutely. I think it's one of the cooler things that you could do as as a tattoo enthusiast who maybe you're a tattooer, but you're maybe more mechanically inclined to devote yourself to making really, really great machines and understanding how those things work.
I mean, these things have to come from somewhere, right? It's like they either come from someone's hands or someone's
Well,
factory. So I know which one I take.
on the flip side of what John and Aaron Kane are doing is look at Byron, the
Hmm.
fucking mad scientist
Yeah.
with a factory of minions. Like that's what it seems like, is like he can come up with these ideas and have this brainchild and then work out all of these ideas through all these prototypes and then have all you fucking guinea pigs to test all his shit.
I give you a little insight. There's not many minions in that factory. He doesn't.
Well,
He
it
likes
just
to do
seems like it.
everything himself.
Man, that's even better. That's great. That makes me
Exactly.
feel even better. That
Doesn't
makes me
trust
feel even
anyone.
better.
Byron puts them together. Byron knows they're good. That's the way to do it.
Hey, that makes me feel great about like looking out in the world and seeing how many nanos that I've seen. Because like the flights, I saw a lot of flights out there, but I see a shitload of fucking nanos nowadays, and I'm like,
Oh,
good on
yeah.
you, boys.
I'm sure
Good on you.
he has a person or two there helping him out.
He's got it. He's got it. Because I've seen thousands at
Yeah,
this point.
exactly
There's a
right.
shitload of them out there.
Yeah.
But for something like that, the most interesting thing about all of these different companies now, especially the people who are making all these different rotaries, especially the direct drive rotaries,
Hmm.
is there's very little that you can do to set yourself apart if you have a direct drive rotary, and to see the way that certain companies inject maybe like Bishop and those guys haven't been able to just
Yep.
make a quality rotary that gets people's attentions. It's been pretty interesting. I mean, I like, the FK Irons guys, they make a lot of shit, but that's the thing. They just make a lot of shit. They make a
Yeah.
lot of machines. So it's like, it's hard for me to be like, well, why do you think it's necessary to have, it's 7 different rotary machines and a pen? Like,
And it's just
what's
like
all there?
that catering to any market, basically. It's like when it comes down to preference, and some people like a pen and some people like a direct drive. I mean, like you said a second ago, there's really only minimal choices when you get down to like rotaries. So Keith Camarella isn't, the only other person I know of that's doing like a decent tattoo podcast. And I used to watch all his tattoo review DVD, like your rotary review DVD.
He had I had that rotary review. I bought that from him.
And that was amazing. He really went down into a scientific breakdown of like what a rotary is and how many motions it could have. And, from there, we've seen them all. We've had linear, we've had the swash, swash plate motion. And then someone came out with a centrifugal force machine. Did you see that one?
Yeah. I've seen, well, what's crazy is now that the cartridge system has become so prevalent, it's completely changed the mechanism of most rotaries, because we had those linear drives like the Neotats and
they were a straight plug-in needle. Exactly. So it was a different story.
It was for a standard needle, which, they're still really, really interesting, but now,
I got one of them
yeah, there you go.
All right, so bring you back to the one we we're just talking about.
There you go. See, it's got the little bar on there. Cool.
Staccato. So yeah, exactly. It works from the regular needle bar. So what we were talking about is this turns a needle bar straight up and down, so it changes no linear movement. When you're putting a cartridge in there, obviously that linear movement is almost guaranteed from the cartridge itself. So
yeah, the linear motion, that linear
straight
motion is built into the cartridge.
Side movement, basically all it means, right?
Yeah.
And
that's just built into the nature of the cartridge. And then if you've got a cam driven machine there.
So the other linear is the old school R1, the injector.
Oh man, look at that specific. That's some old school shit. If you guys don't know about,
so that's before specific. That's R1.
Which one is that one?
This is an R1.
Oh shit.
Yeah, this one looked different again. This is
damn.
I'm not sure what that is.
That's some old
2
shit.
years before that. So this is like 2.5.
Oh, that I know. The only reason I remember that motherfucker is because of that wonky ass fucking vice screw. I remember always looking at. Yes. Oh my god. Look how big that motherfucker is.
It's awesome. You don't miss it.
No. But yeah. You look at a machine like that. So that one. So that's not a linear drive. I thought those old inkjectors were.
This is linear. Yeah. So I mean, this is like turning cam into linear, basically taking that side movement out and putting in an up and down plate and giving it nowhere to go up and down. Linear meaning straight line. So that was that. And then I think for the specific, they went to the same thing but with a dampener. The dampener.
Oh, that's right. So that's right.
Yeah. Obviously,
that was the adjustable. That was the one adjustable give machine. Huh?
Yeah. And I used to run it with it either all the way in or I'd take it out.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with what I think is interesting when I talk to people who use rotary systems that have adjustable give systems. Whether and the different devices that they use. Some of them use a dampening system that's built into the machine. Some of them are similar to the way the inkjector does it, with some kind of spring bar, some kind of push bar. That
the Dragonfly was the funniest one I ever come across. I was like borrowing someone's Dragonfly, being ever so careful because it's all tiny little plastic parts.
That little knob on the top.
Oh, bro, I undid it so much that it fucking went
and flew apart, and like that rod and those fucking springs came out. Yeah, I kind of did. I did. Yeah, dude, you know how many parts? There's over 100 parts in.
Yeah, I read it after
Dragonflies.
After that,
so like
that was his downfall.
What turned me off. Yeah, that's what turned me off. I was like, too many parts to break, man.
Yeah, exactly. There's 100 parts you can break. There's 100 parts you have to replace.
Like you can't replace rubber bands with a device that has like 7 parts. Like it's a rubber band or 7 parts for this adjustable kind of tensioner device that you had running on the on the needle bar.
And which one works better most of the time, huh?
Because I would always get ink that would run up the fucking needle bar if I used that tensioner. It would
Oh,
run
for
up
real?
into my fucking bag because
Yeah,
it did
fuck
something
that.
as far as like it did something with the vibration of the machine to where
It
that
would be like rolling
ink
on it and vibrating with it. So it's almost
yeah,
like
it would slowly come up and it would fucking spray
harmonizing.
all inside my. Oh yeah, man. Yeah, something like that.
Oh,
And I would get
bad.
so pissed off because I'd be tattooing and then I'd look down at my fucking bagged machine and the inside of the bagged machine would just be black and I'd be like, well, fuck.
Fuck. Exactly.
Little
Fuck 'em.
shit like that though, but it's interesting, the thing about most of the new rotaries that are coming out is they're all catering specifically to cartridges.
Yeah.
Like
Do you think that's
I
a good thing
think
or a bad thing?
um I think that it would be smart if most uh, rotary companies would like to take advantage of the vast market. I think it would be smart to produce two machines in your line, one that runs regular needles and one that runs cartridges. I think it
I
would
like
be
what you
smart.
said last week about a machine that does both. Whoever wants to make some money,
Yeah,
that's your ticket.
yeah.
But I think almost like developing something in between the two as far as a disposable that helps any machine run on both. That's
Well, in reality, that Neotat does both.
yeah, it does. Yeah, I mean, because we're talking about running
Mm.
a linear machine with a normal needle bar that works with a plunger. So a plunger obviously can run any rotary machine. But in saying that, I've had problems with certain machines not running in cartridge grips and all the rest of it. They don't always hit in the right spot, but
Yep.
minimal, very minimal.
Yeah.
So another one, I had to pick up the Mark Sender. This is
Mhm.
something that my apprentice or old apprentice Tim Devario got made for me. It's the Dame Sedna. So I don't know if you guys know of Dame Edna over this side.
Nope.
Or
Nope.
Harry Humphreys. No, there you go. You'll have to Google it. I'm not going to Google that one for you, but this is the tribute to it. This is like the trans machine, basically. Special one off. And then I just had to do a little shout out to my old school. This is where I started. I got my start with Brett Stewart Tattoo Supply. And this is one of the first machines I bought off him. I got the inlaid camel bone, and this is just a good old solid fucking steel machine. This thing weighs a ton. And we'll pack
Well,
in some good like 21 mags, or if
yeah.
I used it as a liner, as a round shader, as all of it. I was
Yeah.
never really very conventional with this is a liner, this is a shader. I couldn't give a fuck, mate. If I can fit a fucking liner in it and it goes up and down and I can tattoo you with it, then that's what it is.
Well, fuck. Like at the end of the day, like I just need to put ink in your skin. That's all I
Yeah.
got to do.
We've already talked about taburi, man. If you can just sit there poking it, what's the difference with like whether your springs, whether your contacts angled this way or that way, man?
Yeah.
It's all about what you do with it.
Yeah. The thing about them catering more and more towards cartridges, there is a specific subset of tattooers who really just don't like the idea of cartridges. They don't like them. They don't like the way they work. They don't like the tubes. They like there's still guys who work out of metal tubes, and I get it. I understand it.
I
But
think
there are
going back to
certain.
that craft sides, like there's people that like to tinker.
Mhm.
And it's like,
Yeah.
I think people think they can't tinker with cartridges.
Oh yeah, you can.
Oh,
Take
yeah,
them
you can.
motherfuckers apart. Like, why don't nobody takes your cartridges apart? I tell people all the time, like, you ever take your cartridge apart? He's like, why? I was like, because Cheyenne doesn't know how the fuck you want to use it.
Exactly. They ain't seeing me bend my needle down into my tube to get that awesome ink flow and stop my fucking ink spitting everywhere.
Been everywhere. Yeah.
Fuck that.
Nope. Well, and there's, I still will pull old school moves out and I will grab like a 7-round liner and I will flame the tip of it and burn a little bit of that solder back and make a 7-round shader, baby.
There's something that
Just like
still
that.
makes me excited as fuck seeing some old trad dude just pull out his fucking long needle bar.
And just pull out his lighter.
11-round liner. Pull out a lighter. Pretend he's going to smoke it like crack.
He's like, I gotta make it bigger than
It's got to be bigger.
now.
Exactly.
Like,
Right.
what the fuck? To get a 14-round? No,
No.
I don't like the way it looks.
No, exactly. I get 3 of those extra lines on the side I don't need.
I don't need all that shit.
No. Give me the 11.
Yep.
I always got told years ago
I
the
love those
11.
guys.
There's nothing better than 11 as far as configuration, apparently, for like getting in ink. My one of the old teachers reckons.
Because it's 10 and 1, right? It's 10 around and 1 in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
Something like that. I don't know how it's stacked up. I know that
One thing I've never been good at is fat lines. Not in tattooing, anyway.
No. Well, and nobody knows nothing.
Nasty.
Well, the thing is now is like I've been like all hard dicked up because of these black claw needles that I got, and they make these things. I forget if they called super liners or whatever it is, but they make these liners to where the grouping is, let's say it's like a 7 liner, so it's like 6, and then the 7th that's in the center is actually pulled back inside the grouping so that there's more of an inkwell.
Oh,
inside.
yeah, I can imagine. It's actually like holding the bit of ink like back up in it, so you're getting this. Yeah, I like that.
Mm-hmm. And
rolls
dude,
it back up in there.
Work awesome.
So I used to be a
Are
fan of
so
the
nice.
old school trad traditional 8-round liners, and I think it was the same sort of deal. It was like
the textured needles.
No, I don't know if they were textured. They were just like,
because those are brutal, dude. I watched
talking
a dude
about like
tattoo a kneecap.
What are they called? What are the old, like, not graphite? What is it? Carbon? Are they carbon?
No, the carbon needles.
Yeah, exactly. Carbon.
Yeah, they're textured. They're textured
porous,
carbon
basically.
needles. Well, they like I watched a dude get his kneecap, and it's like his skin was getting pulled up by the needle like this. It's like papaya, and it would like go in and pull out and go. And I was like looking at it, I was like, that's fucking brutal. What
Fuck it, I'm just gonna barb a heap of needles back here and just sell them off to people if that's what you want.
Just start jamming them into your desk and just. These are all expired. I'm just going to re-sterilize these and sell them to the trad kids. These are special needles, kids. These will give you them fat lines.
Barbed for your pleasure.
Be careful because you cause blowouts real easy because they're good needles.
Hey man, that's like trad rules, isn't it? If it doesn't look like it's going to blow out, it's not a tattoo.
When in doubt, blow it out.
Blow it out. Yeah, so I've got the when in doubt, black it out.
Yeah, that's the
trad version. Nah, that's how I get people to do cover-ups. Like, you don't know what to do with that? Black that shit out.
I just want to do some black arm mafia shit with some geometric shit or something crazy over the top eventually. Like, not on me. I just want to do that on somebody because I fucking pack black like fucking nobody's business. Anybody out there want a solid black arm? I'll give you black. I'll give you that kind of black to when you look at your arm, it makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah. It makes you feel heavy. One side.
It makes you look at your arm like you're like, it looks like it's made out of tire rubber.
Burn that shit up. Roll it on the ground and smell that shit.
That's like because I saw some really like heavily saturated tattoos, like heavily saturated to where there's very little skin tone left, and it doesn't look real.
Mm-hmm.
And it's awesome, but the skin looks fake now. Like it just looks like plastic, and it's like so strange.
Orange peel.
Yeah. I like it though.
Same. So my girlfriend brought up a good point this week. She wanted me to bring up. She's like, "Where the fuck did the term tattoo gun come from?" Since we're doing tech talk, I figure that's a good one to throw in there.
Oh, why was there a cunt who one day call it a tattoo gun?
Not a good cunt for all you Australians.
Yeah, not the cunt over here is a very bad word, guys. Okay?
It's my favorite thing to fuck with between two countries. It amuses me how offended some people can get over there, and then how blasé some people over here are about the world.
Well, because it sounds nice when you guys say it. Like, it's for real. It's like, what you doing, you fucking cunt? Yeah, how you doing, twat? You fucking twat.
You bloody twat. You fucking wanker.
You fucking, what the fuck? You got, But over here, it sounds like we're throwing a large stone into a lake. It's like, cunt. So it's very hard. Very hard.
It's harsh. It's
very. Yeah, exactly.
I just funked you.
Cunt.
You cunt.
Cunt.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But that's like,
it's got a hard T.
I enjoy hearing Americans say it because it's always got conviction, because it still has some meaning. There's not many words in Australian language that has meaning left. Obviously, if you can say cunt so fucking easy, then yeah, it's kind of the last one. It was taboo.
You guys don't have any taboo words like that, because that is a fairly taboo word over here. Like,
nah, the only taboo shit over here is obviously like racist stuff.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's already just taboo shit.
And I
to
think it's
everyone.
only because we were so racist originally that all the rest of the taboo stuff became fuck all, and then the rest of the world was like, you still can't say that other stuff.
Yeah, don't be racist now.
Yeah, exactly.
We're having a problem with that over here.
Oh yeah, we've all seen that. Yeah, it's been
Mm.
pretty amusing on the news lately.
You know what's funny?
Over like cars and fucking presenters being chased through flower beds. Man, that's my
Dude,
favorite.
dude, these cunts, these fucking assholes, these white assholes,
Oh dear.
these white privileged sons of bitches.
Privilege.
I know
Right
they're
it's
just
perfect.
so. I mean, like I'm so blown away by how upset they're getting that people are finding out who they are because their faces. You forgot to wear your hoods, fellas.
Your
You know what I
ghost
mean?
meetings.
You going out there, you got your torches, got to put your hoods on. And now these
Tiki
people are
torches.
getting fucking fired from their jobs. They're getting reamed on fucking social
Oh,
media.
suck
They're
shit. There's
losing.
implications for
Yeah.
that dumb shit you do
Oh,
in the real world.
shucks. You have the right to be racist. And guess what? All these people who
You had the right to
fucking
fire your fucking ass, you dumb fuck.
lose your scholarship. You
Oh,
guys are
for
losing
real.
scholar. Oh, fuck yeah. Do
Hey,
it
you
all.
fucked
I
up your
fucking.
whole life, not just your job there. Well done.
Yeah, just
Hope you're
because
watching.
you thought that white culture has a right to be here. Nobody ever said white culture doesn't have a right to be here.
Everyone
However,
is right, huh?
there is a giant fucking statue of Robert E. Lee, who was a very proud traitor to the country.
Yeah.
He was. He's very proud of his traitorous ways, and it's in a park called Emancipation Park.
Well,
It needs to be fucking removed.
I
These
would say
guys are
so.
all pissed off about it. And we're like, look, we're sorry that we don't want to celebrate the racism of our country, but tough shit. We let you keep the 10 Commandments in front of your courthouse. We're taking the fucking statue of the racist fucking slave owner. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
It's crazy though, like that whole thing with that dude who ran into all these cars or ran into all those people in his car. He's 20 years old, man.
It's only
20
to me, it's
years
only secondhand news. I've just heard that, the shit that I hear in a tattoo shop. I've not had to Google that one.
Yep. 20 years old, this kid who he basically piled a fucking car into a group of people who are protesting their protest.
Wow.
And he was a part of a white nationalist society program, but 20 years old to throw your fucking life away for
Grand
some
Theft Auto is
hey.
finally kicking in, huh?
Yeah.
All those
Well,
years of fucking running motherfuckers over on games, now you all want to do it.
well, I've got to go have sex with a hooker, kill her, and then kill her and rob her. If it's all gonna come full circle.
If it's gonna go full GTA.
If we're getting really into it,
5 stars,
and I need to
6
figure out
stars.
where I need to find out where the God code is. Like, I need some invincibility first.
I'm all codes on anything ever. It's the only way to play anything. You got to cheat.
What the fuck is the point? Like, I don't want to play like everybody else. I don't have that kind of time.
No. If I wanted to just be a regular man shooting people, I'd do it in real life.
Ooh.
Touchy.
Satire, people.
This is why I don't play games, because I'd probably fucking do it.
It's like, I just fucking do it.
Do it, damn it. Knifey spoony. Don't fuck
See,
around.
this is why you fucking Aussies can't have guns.
Yeah, exactly. See?
You get all excited.
No.
Shame.
We've seen what you do.
You can have all the dangerous animals you want.
You steal bread, you get sent to other countries.
What the fuck? Really?
Yeah. Why do you think my family's here? Well, half the families are here. They had to have some excuse.
Yeah. I guess so. That's true.
Yeah.
You do come from the honky motherland.
Exactly.
It's so weird that they were just like, that's a whole nother weird concept. Like we left because we were like, yeah, fuck you guys. You guys are too loose for us. And then they just like, what? Where would I wonder what are other prison states or prisoner states or whatever the fuck?
I mean, so India only gained independence from England like in the 50s.
After Gandhi, right?
Yeah, exactly right, man. No, that's like something I only learned more recently.
Like 1945 or something like that.
Something like that. Man, for some reason in my head, it's like 50s. It wasn't 50s.
Well, I think it was. I think you might be right. I think it was after the World War II, of course. And so
it was definitely a lot later than you would think.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of like, hey, didn't we have like a world war? Can't you just like, You really need the Falkland Islands, really? It's like, give back some of the shit, Great Britain. Come on.
There's a very interesting documentary. I think it's called The Great Game, and it's all about England and Russia both sending spies into the Middle East and Afghanistan. And it was all about the English, if shit went sour in India, trying to look for a way out of India. And obviously they needed a passage back to Europe. So they were looking at places like Afghanistan, perfect place. There wasn't much going on at the time. So they were talking about putting a base in there. The Russians caught wind and did the exact same thing at the same time. And apparently the Great Game, and the whole reason we're still at war for something like this, is these two spies chasing around each other for 2 years, reporting on each other, getting paranoid.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. It's a very interesting documentary. And it's fucking funny to see how something so small can turn into the world we live in.
Yeah, I mean, that's the crazy we live in extremely interesting times. At least I can say that we live in extremely interesting times. When I was young, I thought we were in the wrong time, but now we're definitely in a time where we're going to discover some shit. I wouldn't want to be born in a different time anymore. Like, I really thought that I wanted to be born, like, back in the day a little bit, but like now I'm like, man, we're at the forefront of innovation. Stem cells and medicine and LASIK eye surgery and, we got to put up with Kim Kardashian and Kanye West for a little while, but like,
what would be the first?
Shit's getting crazy.
What would be the first place you could go back to if you could, just after saying that?
Like time?
Yep, time.
The first place that I would,
because I reckon you need like a couple.
I would say, for me, being a white male, it's pretty safe for me to time travel back in time.
Oh, we did this one,
that I want. Yeah, we talked about this. But I don't know. Like, I think it would be great to go to the Renaissance.
Ooh, yeah.
I'd love to see the high Renaissance. The Baroque era.
Watch Da Vinci go find his cadavers and drag them downstairs and chop them up.
Yeah. I just watched Caravaggio fucking paint and shit.
Ooh,
like, what kind of shit was he on?
Would you want to be a fly on the wall, or would you want to be there with him?
I want to be balls out and doing a nude study. Just paint me, bitch.
Paint me.
Let me smoke whatever opium you've got going on, whatever you're doing. That I think, just going back there and just seeing, a period of enlightenment would be fucking awesome. I think like feudal area Japan, like maybe like 1700s samurai shit would be super fucking cool.
I think I'd go way back.
I'd have to go fly on the wall there, and then I want to go like straight back to where, like, when monkey became man. Like, I want to go there, and I want to know where the missing link is, and I want to know where I can find them.
Yeah, I like that.
And I think that could cover like my bases of like some crazy warrior, crazy shit, some artsy shit, and then Monkey Man. Where did we come from? How did we make these two factions of art and war?
So have you seen all the recent shit that's come out about that lately? About how it's like dated, where there's been a couple of major finds lately. And one was the trace back of the earliest human hominid. So that was like, it went from 250,000 years ago to about 330,000 years ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So that pushed that one back a while. And there was the pre-hominid they found in Bulgaria, Romania, Greece area. See that one?
Yes, I read a little bit about those two.
2 million years. Which predates about 5 million years on what the original was from Africa.
Randall Carlson, he's actually an astronomer. Yeah, he's actually an astronomer. He was talking about it in a different podcast the other day.
And geologist, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, and a geologist. He studies a lot of asteroidal impacts at dealing with geology. Right? Yeah, that's right.
So that would be my second place. I would go back to the last ice age.
Yeah, for sure. I think that would be a good one.
Yeah, I reckon. See what was around. See what it was about. See what people.
Well, what I'm really interested in it is what's going on in the site in Turkey. What the fuck is it called? I can never remember that crazy name, but it's
Göbekli Tepe. Is that the one?
Göbekli Tepe. Yes, Göbekli Tepe.
I was watching Ancient Aliens with Action this week with Tyler, the creator. Hey, by
Yeah.
the way, we're both
Yeah.
getting green screens.
Mm. We
Mm.
should do that.
Oh yeah, we're
Mm.
doing that. I'm already ordering
Yeah,
it.
we should do that. I'm gonna get me a green screen then.
Yeah.
But the Gobekli Tepe, they're starting to do more excavation, because after I heard about this site from, who's the other, the great Graham,
Graham
what
Hancock.
the fuck, Graham Hancock.
Yep.
After hearing him talk about it so much, I was like, man, I got to look into this. And they're starting to do more excavation, and they're finding more and more evidence that this was, you know, a place of congregation. This wasn't a place of
But
living, but it was almost like a library, like a college to a
it's
certain
the only
extent,
thing they
because
can really legitimately predate as far as like Stonehenge. They think that it's at least minimum 12,000 years old. So
yeah,
it is,
12,800,
yeah,
exactly
it
that
is
time
the
period.
oldest civilization that we know of, if you're not counting the Sphinx and the pyramids and all them that more than
Well,
likely.
and then there's a buried pyramid in the middle of Indonesia.
I've seen
There's a
that one. They reckon that one's like
Yeah.
20,000 years old, huh?
Well, yeah. Well, they see that the stuff that's built on top of it is 2500 BC.
Uh-huh.
But mainstream geologists look at it, at the mound, and they go, oh, that's just a mound. But you have ground penetrating radar done over that, and you're like, no, this is a built.
Something in there, exactly right.
There's a site. This is built. And they start looking at that more and more, and they start looking at what the land bridge looked like that went from Indonesia, and how this gigantic monolith could have been built. And if you look at 12,800 years ago, with the ice caps being more frozen, coming right out of the first ice age, that land bridge was huge, and it was a gigantic pathway into this continent of Indonesia, not so much this island chain. So this is very, very, very interesting shit, man. I've really dived deep into these ancient fucking
Same, I love it.
prehistoric,
I've been reading all
yeah,
about Atlantis
cultures.
all this week, and land bridges, possible land bridges back in the day between,
Well, and just like the
Tasmania.
crazy animals.
Well, did you see the
Uh,
new one they found? They're like the lost continent in between Australia and New Zealand.
no, what?
Yeah, exactly. It's underneath the ocean. They've just found this other lost continent, something else, Zealand. I can't remember what the fuck it was.
Well, that it's so interesting, because what was it? It was like we got a water level rise at the shore of over 500,
Uh-huh.
like 500 meters or something like that. So
I
like,
think, yeah, 400 feet was the one about 6,000 years ago, and then there was one before that, so it'd total up
yeah,
to about that, yeah.
it's crazy to think that like there was that much land that was still visible, and that like we're really living on some of the peaks of these giant plateaus of these continental shelves. That there's continental shelves that are much lower than us, that were just
And where's
completely
the first place
habitable.
we build? We build on the water, huh? We
Of
build on
course, right? So of
exactly.
course, yeah.
They're the first ones to go.
Oh,
Oh, they just found
well,
like there's like 600 sunken cities on the coast of India now. Like the government
mhm.
has like banned all scuba diving there and all the rest of it because they want to be in control of their history, which is fair enough. Yeah. But
Yeah,
there's a massive chunk just there
it's the
that's
same
going
thing
to
in
bring to
Japan.
light. Yeah.
They found they've got a
China
couple
too, right?
sunken cities in China.
Mm-hmm.
um and then the most interesting thing is the story of Plato giving the account that
So that's the one I've been reading all week.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, of the sinking At-
Peace out, brother.
of Atlantis.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, the sinking of Atlantis, and it being exactly in that 12,800, 12,600 year mark, because he names it that 9,000 years
Exactly. Yep.
before so and so was born. He was born 6,000 BC, which leaves us
Yep.
2,000 more, so it ends up being 12,000 or 11,600, right in that period that it needs to be, that this gigantic city or continent sank. And if you think about it, like
And the belief now is that there was two comets that hit around those times, right? That like ushered in the end of the ice age and could have possibly gotten rid of all these cities and risen
yeah,
water
you see
levels
these
like we
two
know.
massive spikes in atmospheric temperature and water levels, and it's these two. It has to be, because it's through that torrid cycle. They look at that cycle that we pass through twice a year, and it's like the Tunguska event that happened right there in the torrid, and so on and so forth.
Very cool shit.
Yeah,
History, yo.
yeah,
Prehistory.
yeah. I think that's not even. Like they don't teach that kind of history though. Like why?
Because they don't know shit.
Well, like why don't you talk about like the millions of pieces of fucking rock that we pass through twice a year? That like so the Tunguska event was like a 3 meter fucking asteroid,
So we're
or no,
talking
30
about
meters.
an asteroid belt, right?
Yeah. That's so the Taurid is like a giant comet that broke apart, and that we pass through it twice a year in June and like October or something like that. And it's when we see all the meteor showers here on Earth and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's the shooting gallery that we fly through that. Graham Hancock puts it that, it would be like as if you were to put a blindfold on and walk through 8 lanes of freeway traffic. That's what we do twice a year.
Exactly
And
right.
we hope we don't get hit. Because on my birthday this year, we saw a 300-meter sized object fly past the Earth.
No way.
And the latest, and we didn't notice it until it was passed by us. So like
300 meters is enough to do some damage.
A 30-meter rock exploded over Russia.
Yeah, exactly right.
And it flattened like hectares of fucking forest, and it didn't even hit the ground. This thing was 300 meters.
Yeah.
They were talking about like if it would have hit the Earth, it would have been, you could have detonated all of our nuclear supply, and you would have still had to do times 30 or something like that. Something crazy, astronomical number of power that I'm like, they were like, yeah, it wouldn't destroy life on Earth, but if it hit a city, it wouldn't be a city anymore. And I was like, holy fuck. And we didn't catch that motherfucker till it was flying past us. Well, it's too small. Well, how many of those are there? A million,
exactly.
Bazillion, thousand, quadrillion, more than anybody can count. And
more than grains of sand on the Earth.
They're tracking 1,900 objects, because those 1,900 objects are over a kilometer.
Fucking hell.
In size.
And I love that
those are world enders.
Smartest people on Earth, like they ask them, what's the solution to all this shit? And the solution is to move planet. It's literally the best thing they can come up with these days. They've tried every simulation possible, from Armageddon bullshit to flying up there and nuking fucking asteroids and comets and sending missiles to shoot them the other way, and anything you can fucking think of. They've put it in a simulator to see if it works. And all these ones like you're talking about, these kilometer wides, it doesn't do shit. So the best outcome for humans to survive is move planet.
The only thing that I've seen that they say that might actually work is to paint, as weird as it sounds, is to paint these asteroids a reflective color, because it actually uses the sun to push these things slightly off course because of the reflective rays of light. Because most of them are dark objects, and they absorb most of the sun's energy. So when you reflect it, you get a slight push, even minuscule as it is. But you'd have to send up like giant paint bombs. You'd have to send up some graffiti robots to fucking just spray these fucking rocks.
I want to see that shit.
Of silver
just
color.
A fucking water bomb full of paint. Just throw it at that shit.
Throwing it. It's just this balloon, just all in slow motion.
Slow-mo, exactly.
Kubrick style.
Yeah. And everyone will be like, they didn't do it. They didn't even do it. They didn't go to the asteroid.
And then all of a sudden you just see this silver explosion in the sky.
Show me what you got.
Show me what you got.
So you be keep it up to date, Rick and Morty?
Oh yeah. Is okay,
Pickle
so
Rick?
so we can talk about Pickle Rick.
We can do Pickle Rick. I think it's the newest one.
Not the Vindicators, right?
I had people in the shop that were like, thank you for not ruining that. Don't worry.
Right.
If you haven't seen Pickle Rick, fuck you.
Hey, a spoiler alert, we're going to get into Pickle Rick, so you can turn this off now.
The gadgets.
Probably be we're getting close to the end anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you don't want to listen to Pickle Rick, you don't have to. Dude, the fucking thing about that episode is not only does it have one of the greatest openings to a cartoon, just this off the wall thing. It actually has like some, it's always got a little deep meaning.
That one's pretty deep.
The guy's fucking avoiding family counseling, like it's pretty interesting. But like, how badass are all the references that they had in that action scene? There was a little bit of Die Hard in there. They had some Iron Man from him fucking getting all suited up in the fucking rat suit. Just a little bit of everything.
How good was it? Susan Sarandon is the fucking therapist.
The shrink who helps people stop eat shit and does family counseling.
Yeah, I love that. Do you guys also eat poop?
I have never eaten poop. Oh, me either. Where did my family go?
shit.
Yeah, that show, man, that show is it's hitting some kind of hot button in the same way that South Park did when it first came out. In some
It's
way,
the zeitgeist. They're onto it. They're onto the
Yeah,
collective thought of people, and they're giving people what they want.
yeah, and there's a certain level of elegance in the way that that show is put together. That there are some people who may not get those somber moments that you realize that, like, Rick is pretty bummed out and knows that he has a huge problem with his family. That's why he's avoiding going to fucking counseling by becoming a pickle and
Comes with that
working
intelligence,
through
so.
one of the worst fucking situations that you could think of. But it was awesome. It was awesome.
Nailed it. They nailed it.
Oh, dude, that scene of him jumping out of the toilet, I know they show it in the trailer, but still, that shit, I'm like, man, that is pretty fucking epic for a fucking little cartoon. And the fact that he's like, where do you come up with the idea that we're like, okay, well, we got to brainstorm about this episode. What do we do with Rick? Let's turn him into a fucking pickle.
When I first saw it, I was like, oh my God, they've lost it already.
I was like, where are they going with this?
Where the fuck are they going with this?
Automatically.
I love it. Sending you sideways straight away.
Yeah.
Look around my room to think what else tech talk we can talk. What have I got?
Power supplies and stuff like that. We went through.
So I just got the the Critical Atom as a replacement for my CX2. I had a CX2 that lasted 8 years, I think.
It is probably the best power supply company on the market, and that's not just me being biased. I just used a lot of shit, but I've gone through a lot, and I've had Critical stick with me for a long time. I'm using the Atom, the non-digital. It's just the turn knob one.
That's the one I just bought, and I had the choice of the both, and I went the non-digital. And I like the simplicity and just the color dial and easy to use.
Yeah, I like being a smartass when people ask me how I run my machine, and I'm like on orangey red,
on yellow.
I use like orangey red.
Orange, yeah.
Look at the orangey red color.
Red scares people. It's hilarious. You're like, oh,
yeah, they're like, whoa, what are you turning that up for? Why does it flash like that?
Why is it red?
Yeah. I was like, because that means it's going to work. It's going to work, bitch.
Exactly. This means we only have about 20 minutes left.
Well, because like I run my Nano almost constantly, just like right up to that red, and I like bump it over, and then I bump it right back down to like the highest level of yellow, and that's usually where I don't know how many volts that is, but it's pretty hot.
I think the red is like 11 to 13 or something like that. It might be the 12 to 14, but it's definitely up near those. It's what I've usually run my machines on for years, but only just out of someone's advice recently, I've like tried to lower the voltage, and I've dropped to like 1 to 2 volts, so down to like 10.5 to 11.5, and it was something to do even almost like what we said before about harmonizing with the skin, the way the needles are hitting and the way the skin's meeting it,
bounding back.
Exactly right.
Okay,
so like going too fast, like it not being able to keep up underneath with what it's doing. So almost
because it would seem like maybe it's coming down in some of those waves.
Exactly right.
Like it,
it makes sense to you instantly just thinking and looking at it visually like that. We're visual people, so someone explained that to me, and I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll give it a try, and I've dropped it down, and I'm quite enjoying the lower. It's like a part of me that still wants to slam my hand real quick and like go back to old habits.
It's just it's just fast. I'll get it done fast.
So now now I'm finding this in between, like when I'm trying to do other stuff like washes and like textures and details and things like that, I drop down to that. But then when I feel like just old me wants to just smash out this black, like you said before, you love just doing the black, you can get it done quick, single maybe double passes, it's in there, fuck it, no fucking around.
That may be one of the benefits of rotaries maybe over the coil in certain aspects, is that like I can run a rotary fairly slow, and I can get some really interesting textures and needle marks by running it slow. Whereas with a coil, it won't operate at those lower voltages. You don't have enough power to pull that A bar down, even though you're running it at 5 volts, because it has to run at 7 before it kicks over, or whatever it ends up being. So that you run into that little issue there. Yeah,
exactly right. I mean, stipple is an interesting one I've seen with like just lowering volts. I had a dude. I had the guy who did my stomach, like single needle mandala shit with just a I can't remember what rotary it was, but a pretty old school looking rotary running on 5 volts. So it's just vigor, and just like
No,
catching
that's
on.
brutal.
It was catching every little bit with a single. It's not dots. It's almost like where he changes his hand motion. So it's like a cheek, cheek. Anyway, it looks amazing. No,
That's
it's fucking
awesome.
horrible.
It's fucking, yeah, I bet you it's terrible to get tattooed like that.
Yeah, but people try and shit. You can do whatever you want with machines. It's
Yeah.
pretty the basis of this. That doesn't matter what implement you've got in front of you, whether it's like fucking old school like rotaries or these new linear shit or coils, or I better get out the nano, right? It's the only one we
I'd
have.
like, yeah.
Bear with me. So I picked up the Nano and the V2. So V2, my special pink black cover. That's a go.
Oh, baller.
And
Baller
see,
shit.
you lost one of those shrouds. That's what they're there for. They're there so you can bust them off. There you go.
Yeah, it's not a real V2 unless you got one of those little ears knocked off.
I've had one just given to me recently that they've obviously dropped it twice and then pulled it all apart and shaved it back so that this is now smooth. It looks better, but you don't want to drop that motherfucker anymore. And then the Flight Nano. So this is my brassy with the titanium screw now. I jerried up my own straight bar, rigid bar. I was using the black plastic bar that came on.
It's just not hard enough, yeah.
No,
yeah,
I feel you. Exactly. Honestly, I like to mix shit up. I wanted to see what it felt like.
I like using my hand a lot for judging how hard I'm hitting the skin, and I feel like it's almost like putting a hat on a hat, with the give bars sometimes, just depending on what it is.
Hat on a hat.
I don't know if you guys have that saying over there, but putting a hat on a hat is like just
Rick and Morty. It's the mustache and the helmet.
Oh yeah. I forget that's from Rick and Morty. Yeah. Well, you're putting a hat on a hat.
It's gonna be the new Simpsons. Everything's gonna go back to that.
But the thing about the Nano and the Flight V2 is really you're buying a high quality motor and cam, that you can attach a tube to, and that's really what you're paying for, because the design is there so minimally because there's nothing that gets in the way.
No, exactly right.
That's what's so beautiful about them. The Nano with the titanium frame, the red rum version, it weighs so little, but it's still fairly robust. The only criticism I have to give is the original covers that they give you for the cams are just crap. The new style that you have on the brass machine is where it's at.
Yeah, absolutely.
The older style,
the original ones like the ones with the thing still in the middle. The other one you're talking about. Yeah, exactly.
No. The
even before that.
It's the cam cover for the Nano, so it's like just that little piece of plastic that just clips over the top.
I know what you mean.
Just covers and they're real flimsy, and they would just fly off all the time. Yeah, but the other version of that, because that's the newer version, that's a little bit more secure.
Okay.
The one that I have,
I maybe haven't seen the other one.
Yeah, I'll. It ain't no thing. I'm getting the new one anyways. Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly.
But other than that, I mean, like everything getting switched over to RCA, I guess, is a change from coming back to the clip cord. But
convenience again, I think. Like RCAs used to break all the time. I think the quality of RCAs now is better than it used to be, and we treat them as disposable. I buy 2 RCA cords when I buy that shit. They're made in China.
Yeah, they're consumables now, man. They're consumables, and
exactly.
That's one of the things that you have to actually kind of plan for. A lot of that shit's going to break down. Your machines are going to break down.
Yep.
Your back's going to break down.
When you least want it to. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Well, I reckon that's a good little time. I can see a lot of sun shining through your window over there.
Yeah, it's going to be that time.
Yeah, it's time for you to have a nap before you go and bust out some massive fuck off tattoos, huh?
Yeah, I get it. It'll be fun.
You got this. This is not something we don't do on a regular basis. We tattoo all the time with no fucking sleep and barely any part of our brain left, because that's what tattooing does to us. It consumes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I fucking stayed up all night to talk about tattooing.
Yeah, or why we have to go drink to forget about tattooing.
Yeah, this is possible. Well, as long as you go to the right bar and there's nobody there who's gonna come talk to you, fuck.
Oh yeah, that old chestnut. Oh yeah, do you tattoo, mate? Oh, I got this old tribal dragon thing that I want. Can you just add some scales to it and shit?
It looks pretty sweet, now.
Doesn't it? The old Dundee.
No, that's pretty good, man. Nah, I'm glad that it's universal that everybody gets that same shit.
Oh yeah, that's everywhere. So
Well,
so if you're that guy in the pub, don't do that. Please don't do that to us.
Don't be that guy.
Please don't. Just take a business card and give us a call later.
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us on the 5th episode of the Tattooed Mind.
Yeah, number 5, Tattooed Mind. Peace out, y'all. Thank you, David.
Peace out.
Good talking.
Good talk.
See y'all.